Mr. Onyeoghane Anthony joins us now. He's a legal and enterprise risk expert as we continue our focus on the state of the nation. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you very much.
Well, quite a lot of challenge this has brought upon the country. And let's get your perspective on this first and foremost.
Thank you. You see, Nigeria is a place where we have a lot of intelligent, bright people, but we have some fundamental problems. I would like us to reflect on the state of the nation. Today is May Day. Let's take the issue of Boko Haram, for instance. What is the origin of Boko Haram? How did we get to where we are today?
What do you think?
Good. Now, sociology teaches us that man influences his environment and man's environment influences man. For there to be so much violence in the north of Nigeria, that tells us that there is something in the north of Nigeria that attracts the human person in the north to violence. Now, if we look critically at the north of Nigeria, it's a part of Nigeria that has been subject to serious illiteracy and ignorance. Also, there is a lot of acceptance of intolerance by the elites. And when that continues to fester, you begin to see things like Boko Haram. You continue to see things like violence. You begin to see things like humans killing other humans for no just cause.
Sorry to interrupt you there.
Yeah.
Is that from some study that you've conducted, or this is just inference from all that you've read in the papers?
No. You see, we are thinking beings, and generally philosophy, I believe, is the basis of anything and everything every human does. You find out that I had a stint in the north for a while, and when you are there, you find out that the elites have failed that region. Sometime last year, I wrote an article I titled it "The Cowardice of the Elite Few." The Cowardice of the Elite Few is an article I used to show that if you are an elite, if you are somebody who, either by your training, by the positions you've had, by your bets, by what you have around you in terms of financial wealth, you have a responsibility in society. But what we found out in the north is that those who are the elites in the north have set the bar too low. That is, they have allowed every form of teaching, every form of philosophy, every form of human expression that ordinarily should not be allowed to take root. And that is why it is very easy for violence to take root in the north of Nigeria.
When you say something attracts them to violence,
yes,
you've been there. What
yes.
about, lived there. What about the proposition that something can also compel them? Because we've had reports where they're actually compelled. So, couldn't there be an admixture? Yes, compelling them to do this,
violence.
Or else the families will go for it. We've heard those kinds of reports.
Good. Now, you see, every human person has the will to live and the will to decide what he wants to do. It's seldom that we find situations where a human person is compelled to take the life of another person. And that's why in law, it is only excusable in self-defense. Now, let's picture this scenario. In a society where it is okay for young boys to throw stones at people who are gathering in a particular place for a religious worship, simply because those young boys believe these ones are not part of our fold. In a society that permits such attitude, what do you expect would happen later on? When I was in the north, there was an incident that happened, and I was very, very sad. We went for a program, and it was a Christian program, and we were in the church, and probably because of the fact that so many people were coming and you know, I was in the core not eastern part of Nigeria. Probably because so many people were coming, and in that area, they did not see such large crowd of Christians. While we were sitting in the church, some young boys started throwing pebbles, stones at us. And I was amazed because I felt that, how can this happen? And I looked outside, I found adults, parents, sitting down and looking the other way. Some were even making mockery of us. And I was shocked because I felt that, how can you sit down and allow young boys to throw stones at people who are peacefully aggregated, peaceful assembly. Now let's try and look at this issue in much detail. If sociology tells us that the environment, man's environment influences man, and man influences his environment, then how else would you explain in the other way that in America today, Americans are known for their innovation? They keep churning out innovative products. They keep bringing out things that are generating interest in the world and improving their economy. How come today in China, you find that they are taking up the production of goods?
In other words, if you allow me to come in here,
Yes.
when you talk about ignorance and education, would you say the move recently by the government through the Almajiri model schools is the right step?
Excellent. You see, we can look at the problem of Boko Haram, and for me, I think there's one solution with 5 parts to Boko Haram. I've sat down, I've discussed with my friends, I've done some study and some research, and I came to the conclusion that for us to attack the issue of Boko Haram, insecurity in Nigeria, we must do one thing, one strategy, but in 5 parts. Number 1, military. Number 2, socio-religious. Number 3, legal. Number 4, political. And of course, the 5th one, number 5, is economic. Let's take them one by one. Now, when we talk about military, why is the approach to use the military as a part of the solution to Boko Haram, why is it important? It is important because we must not forget that human society is founded on the concept of social contracts, which means that you and I have agreed to surrender some of our rights to some leaders so that we will not resort to self-help in protecting ourselves.
Would that be as a first option, military?
Yes, presently.
First option?
Yes, presently. The way Boko Haram has been on ground since 2009, forcefully, and the way we are presently, military option must be taken seriously. Now, when we say military option, what are we saying? We are saying that people's lives must be protected. Every man has the right to life.
Yeah, but terrorism and counter-terrorism initiatives are not usually military actions first.
You see, the stage where we are in Nigeria today, if we don't take the military option seriously, we may not have the chance of getting to the other options. And for me, I would say let them run concomitantly. That is, as you are taking the military action, you must be taking the legal action, you must be taking the socio-religious angle, you must also be taking the political and the economic. Let me explain. Now,
Well, isn't that what you're saying already? Sorry. Isn't that what we're saying already? The military you're talking about is already there. There are already steps to try and correct this politically. And they are also making steps to, to educate. A host of actions are taking place simultaneously, if you like.
Now, it's not being done properly. It's not being done properly because, number one, we can fault the intelligence gathering as far as the military is concerned. The National Security Advisor came on air and said something that I feel is unfortunate. That tells me that maybe he's not even qualified to be the National Security Advisor. Now, we found out that there have been reports where people have given information, intelligence to those who are presently handling the Boko Haram in terms of the military angle, and they still bungled it. The whole thing went wrong. They could not achieve anything. When I say military, I'm not saying you should roll in the tanks, but I'm saying the government of the day has the duty to protect the life of every Nigerian. It is in our Constitution, Chapter 4 of the Constitution, right to life. Every man has a right. It's an inalienable right. It is wrong for somebody to wake up and take your life.
Yeah, but you know that it's a combination of factors. Just as I'm not sure which politician would just wake up and take even if it's an administrative best option, without considering the political implication of those actions. So they usually combine both before they take action.
Good. Okay, fine. So let's go to the socio-religious angle, which I think will help the military to work perfectly. Now, when we say socio-religious angle to this issue as a form of solving this problem, what we are looking at is, in the north, we have traditional rulers. In the north, we have imams. In the north, we have people who are in charge of mosques. In the north, we have community leaders. How has the government tried to bring these people into solving the Boko Haram menace? What we're saying is that we all learn from each other. There is a duty and a responsibility on every person in every society that holds a leadership position to try as much as possible to teach the right knowledge to the people. When I say in the north, the leaders have said, the allies have said the standards too low, what it means is that they have failed to educate their people in the right way. I don't think that a system that allows a man to give birth to children, and when the boy is 6 years old, hand that child to a religious scholar who lives under a tree to go and learn the Quran. I think that if you want a boy of 6 to follow a religious scholar to learn the Quran, that religious scholar, first and foremost, must understand even what the Quran is teaching, must have a place that is conducive for learning, and must not be saddled with the responsibility of providing for that little boy. When I was up north, I saw little boys with bowls begging for food. And I was thinking about it and asked myself, who are these kids? Where are they from? I was told, oh, these are the Amajiris. This is what they do. They follow a religious scholar and they beg for food. I was shocked. Now, when we say from a social perspective, how would leaders, the so-called leaders, how would they sit down and allow that system to continue? Where are the schools? Who is teaching who?
So would you say that this corrective measure, because I mean, it's something I'm sure must have bothered the leaders as well, is it too late?
It's not too late. We can start now. We truly can start now, and that's why I feel...
we've started already.
Well, it's... What we've done is just a tip of the iceberg. It's like doing 1% of the job.
We're not going to start. School, it's not going to happen. It's not one school. It's a host of schools across many states, 19 states. We understand.
Thank you very much. Then what is happening to the traditional institutes? You know, in Nigeria, at times I wonder, and I ask myself, why do we still have traditional rulers? Why do we still keep them? Why are they still under government payroll if they do not have any form of influence over their constituencies? I believe these people can come together. They can begin to speak the truth to their people. We must begin to take the military angle, take the social angle. Then we must move on to the legal angle. How when I say legal angle? Anybody who has committed a crime must be punished.
Have they been punished?
They are not being punished. We are not seeing anybody being punished.
No, but we've always heard, for instance, even the anti-corruption agencies, so many cases get to court, and that's where it ends. They never get conviction or judgment. And
that's because of the fact that we all know that our legal system needs an overhaul. There's what we call law reform. We need a proper law reform to be put in place so that in Nigeria today, people can have the judiciary as the last resort. Now, taking the Boko Haram again as an example in terms of the legal angle, when you arrest somebody that you think has been involved in this criminality, what do you do? When the leader of Boko Haram was arrested, he was hastily killed. Now that is wrong. He should have been taken to justice. They should have allowed justice to take its course. We need to set the example that if you commit, yes, that
will stay for almost forever. The same one that politicians boast, let's go to court, we'll sleep there, nothing will happen.
Yes. Why? Yes, I say yes, because that is the only thing we have presently. It will get better, but we cannot say because it has some flaws, we shouldn't use it.
Are they doing anything about those flaws?
They are trying, but I think they're not doing too much. It's like somebody who wants to go from here to Victoria Island, and he decides to climb on top of the back of a snail You understand me? He decides to ride on a snail. I wonder how long it will take a snail to get from where we are, this present location, to Victoria Island.
That's if the snail chooses to move.
That is if the snail chooses to move.
You know, but you know, you're talking about arrests and prosecution. If you look on the front page of The Guardian this morning, what you have are people who kill themselves in the process of trying to kill others. That's the dimension that we're taking. I mean, that's the dimension that this menace is taking.
Good.
The question is, how do we bring those kind of people
to justice?
To justice.
It's simple. Proper intelligence gathering. The young man who is this suicide bomber meets somewhere with some persons to plan suicide bombing. Proper intelligence gathering will lead you to those hideouts. And even before he straps on the vest, you can make the arrests. We shouldn't wait until it happens. If we gather proper intelligence, you make the arrest even before they move out.
Are you saying that most of these cases that have been either they've been out on bail for, none of them have done proper investigation?
I may not be able to say that, but what I can say is that as long as you're not achieving results, then that tells me you're not doing something right.
No, they say because there's corruption in the judiciary.
Okay.
It's being politicized. They're not standing up to do what they have to do. They're not reforming themselves and making themselves the last hope of the common man. So they need to introspect too.
Good. And you see, that is where the political angle comes in. You know, I said this solution is in 5 parts. The political angle, that's where it comes in. How does the political angle come in? It comes in the sense that the real political leaders have not emerged. And from the way we are going, I don't know if they will ever emerge. But it behoves on you and I to begin that political process that will see the emergence of the real Nigerian leaders. Recently, I heard that, I don't know if it's true, that the national chairman of the youth wing of the PDP is 60 years old. I don't know how true that is. But that tells me there is a problem somewhere.
If true.
Thank you. That tells me there's a problem somewhere. If ab initio from the beginning, what you are saying is even a lie, then what are you going to do as being a 60-year-old man as the youth leader of the PDP? Now, I'm not even saying we should go into the PDP. I'm saying that politically, the younger people of Nigeria, people who are in the age bracket of 21 to 49, need to step up. We are sleeping. We need to stand up. We need to begin to aggregate. We need to begin to peacefully come together and begin that political process that will bring leaders in that can tell those in charge of the judiciary, if you don't make these changes, I will change you.
You know, when you talked about a bunch of people who don't have any job to do, specifically making reference to the North, it brings to mind what exactly we have in today, which is May Day, and Nigerian workers are taking time out to reflect. It brings also the question of youth unemployment. How can we reverse this particular trend and make sure that even those, when they finally leave the school, be it elementary model school or any kind of educational institution, you will be gainfully employed?
Good. You see, in Nigeria, if we don't begin to lay emphasis on education, enlightenment, and entrepreneurship, which I have tagged the 3 E's, we can never, ever move forward as a nation. The solution to youth unemployment in Nigeria today is what we continue to say, the 3 E's: education, enlightenment, and entrepreneurship. Education, first and foremost, you have to go to school, a formal education. You have to learn, you have to pass through the school, you must be certified. Once you are certified, then enlightenment. You must use your knowledge, your educational knowledge, turn it to a beacon of light to dispel every ignorance and everything you see in your society that is not right, that is not proper. Now, when you are doing that, you would always come across a challenge, and that is that you need resources. And that is where entrepreneurship comes in. You now begin to think of how you create wealth. If Nigerian graduates don't begin to think of how they can create wealth, we are just fooling ourselves. And if the society cannot begin to encourage enlightenment and entrepreneurship, we are also fooling ourselves. Because the fact of the matter remains that if you don't create jobs, where would people work?
Well, we're running out of time now, but just before do you think we're telling ourselves the truth in this country, both at the leadership level and followership? Because if we have to face it, a lot of things will have to give for so many things to be right. But some people want some things to be right, but don't want to lose anything.
Good. You see, the truth of the matter is that in Nigeria today, we are not following the truth. We are not following the right things. And the reason is simple. When we're having the fuel subsidy protests, it was born out of the fact that people were told that you have to make sacrifices so that Nigeria can be a better place, but I don't have to make any sacrifice. Now, that is faulty in itself. We want a situation where the leaders will make sacrifices and the followers will follow in making sacrifices. That's why they are followers. You lead, we follow. If you cannot make the sacrifices, if you cannot cut the cost of governance, if you cannot insist on the protection of human rights, rights to life and others, if you cannot do all that we expect from a government, how do you expect us to follow?
Do you think we are far from solving this challenge?
I think we are very, very close. I think we are getting to a tipping point. I think the new generation of Nigerians, people between the ages of 21 and 49, I see a lot of light in them. I think we are going to tip and become better people. We will tip to the better side of existence. But we must not lose focus of three things: education, enlightenment, entrepreneurship. And let me round off by mentioning somebody whom I think it is extremely important that we all reflect on as we observe May Day in relation to the security challenges in Nigeria. His name is Mustafa Jamal Ataturk. Mustafa Jamal Ataturk is the father of Turkey. He is known as the father of Turkey. This is one man who single-handedly brought Turkey into the modern day world and instituted a secular society where the rights of every man to practice his religion, practice whatever he wants to practice, be whoever he wants to be.
The peculiarity of our states notwithstanding.
Yes.